Welcome back to the Third World Podcast. I'm Caleb.
And I am Matthew. I want to, before we get any farther, I would like to mention that I just ate some cinnamon rolls, and I immediately feel bad.
Yeah,
my energy is low.
I ate cinnamon roll, and I feel great. He ate cinnamon rolls, and he feels it.
I had 3.
3? So when I went to the room to kiss my wife, you had another one? I thought you had 2.
Another 2.
I thought you had 2. In that 5 seconds I was gone, he was like, oh.
Yeah, I'm not proud of my decisions.
I'm sorry. I was taking a drink. All right. We didn't get to it in the first episode.
Yeah, that was entirely my fault. I'm very descriptive.
That's all good. It wasn't a bad conversation. An hour flies by on this show. Like, if you really listen or if you're the one talking, it just flies. So, okay. The Smile Monster is very creative. It's got a lot of personality. The way it terrorizes its victims is very scary. It's very strong. Not original.
Mm-hmm.
The gimmick, the smile. That's the gimmick of this franchise. It's even reminiscent of Truth or Dare, like you brought up last episode. Like that's what it reminded me of. Truth or Dare was dumb because they did the comically weird smile from
Snapchat filter,
literally ear to ear smile. Whereas this one, it's like it's a natural. Like okay, now you can tell he says action. Give me your best smile. There it is. Keep going longer. Whereas they did it in post with Truth or Dare.
Yeah.
As crazy cool as this monster is, this monster will not be remembered after the franchise is over. Once it's done, 5 or 6 years down the line, we're waiting on the next scary movie. But you got legends like Jason, like Freddy Krueger, like Michael Myers. Those are the big 3. And to a lesser extent, you got Leatherface, you got, Jeepers Creepers. Pinhead. But they're still widely regarded and remembered as well. They have a legacy. But how come there's nothing new that can break past that barrier to getting into iconic, has a legacy when it's gone? Like, I remember that. That's something that just sticks with you.
I feel like Art the Clown would be the only example of something, but it's not there
Not there yet. Right.
But it is on its way to becoming the next icon.
I say, but will it though?
It's on its way.
It's close.
It's very close.
That's the closest we'll ever get. But but what is it about him that actually makes him stand out amongst all these new creatures? Because the Smile thing stands out. It makes more money than Terrifier does. So why won't people remember Smile? But they might remember Art the Clown. Maybe, we're not sure.
Mm-hmm.
He is definitely making a name for himself. We did a whole episode on, if SpongeBob would call it in their training video, From Humble Beginnings. That's such a great story, underdog story about the Terrifier franchise. But I don't want to ramble on like a political candidate. I want to talk about. Then we get to the meat and potatoes of it. Why will people not remember the Smile Monster, but they remember Freddy from 80 years ago or whatever, 40 years ago, 30 years ago?
I think I could be wrong on this. People are trying to be more conservative about saving their money. You know what I mean? I'm confident that there are good ideas out there and that people want to give out these ideas, but no one's willing to fund them, or it would just be cheaper for them to blast it with CGI or something and just ruin what a character could be. You know what I mean? Because I know there's no shortage of creativity. Creativity is boundless, which is why we still get characters like Art the Clown. However, the fact that they're few and far between, I think, speaks more to creators unable to get funding
okay, so you're
for
saying
their projects to get out.
You're saying they're not promoted enough.
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, for example, Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. Why would I invent a new creature when I can just give you a creature that you've already seen? I'll throw $100 million at it. I'll make it CGI so it can be cooler.
Yeah.
And it turns out absolute garbage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's companies unwilling to take risk with new characters and not knowing if they'll get their money back, that it would be safer to just recreate something that's already been, in hopes that people would, storm the theaters.
Yeah.
But they've been doing that for so many years, and
Let's say,
still
well-
to this day, there was no payoff for it. You know what I mean?
See, I'm gonna need, if the audience cares to put in, like, I would love to hear why y'all think that's the case. But I would argue in Hollywood, there's a ton of original monsters. So you got, now, granted, this movie sucked, but there's the Bye Bye Man. You know,
Yep. I mean, we got the Babadook.
Babadook. I forgot about that, but that was a good movie.
It was a
The
good movie,
Babadook was a
but,
creative creature. But why was that not anybody's? Why? How come I forgot? Now, granted, I'm one person, and I know there's a fan out there who watches Babadook every day since it came out, right? And dresses like the Babadook every year for Halloween. I'm sure. I'm not saying it's like it's gone now, it's past. That's not what I'm saying.
Those are good examples.
Yeah, that great example.
And yeah, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
I love the movie, but
Well, that's another discussion. I think the Babadook was really good, but I do think a little bit overrated. But that's not what we're talking about. Either way, I thought Babadook stood out for sure. That's good or not. But I personally, I forgot about it. But yeah, some people, how could you forget? But
right, he doesn't really have much to his character.
Yeah. So
I wonder if it's because we're not getting any backstory on these characters, because I know Jason has his backstory, Leatherface has his backstory, Freddy has his.
I would
wonder
argue-
if it's because the villain isn't an actual character. Villains today don't have stories to them.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that you can like relate to them to.
You know what I will say though, as far as like interesting characters go, I don't think he's more interesting than some of these newer people coming out. Like, I get it, his mask is iconic, and like the way he walks and what he does to kill. I get it. But I don't think he's got a lot going on for him character-wise. It's not like he has a vendetta against I mean, he does. He has a vendetta against the camp counselors.
Right.
But he doesn't have a traumatic past. He doesn't have, like, I don't know.
I mean, I could bring up The Thing. A lot of people know about The Thing, but The Thing isn't an iconic character.
Right.
You know
But
what I mean?
the movie got a cult following after, and now some regard it as like the greatest scary movie. But nobody would say, my favorite monsters are Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, and The Thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, to my point is like maybe it's because people are looking for some type of character development. I'm not sure.
Right. So your first thing was they're not getting enough exposure, which could be, but you got some horror franchises like Megan did really good, money wise.
Megan did great,
money wise. But nobody's going to be like, Megan's up there with Freddy. You know what I mean?
Chucky would be another big one.
Yeah, but
and wouldn't you know it? It's a character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got a backstory.
He's got 8 films to back him up.
Yeah.
They gave him a wife and kid.
Well, what's happening with Art the Clown is that it sounds like they're trying to allude to something, but again, with the third movie, we haven't gotten there yet. So maybe if Art the Clown got something, you know what I mean? If we know a little bit about what he is or what he does, where he came from.
So why does Art the Clown stand out? Because he does, I would say.
I think
I'll never forget him. He touched my heart.
I
He
think
saved
it's because
Christmas.
he has a personality.
Yeah.
You know,
He's got personality, that
like-
costume, that makeup.
like when he sees Santa Claus in the bar and he's like, he's like really excited to meet Santa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can see how happy he is, how ecstatic he is to kill these 3 people in the bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's very funny. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's got good personality. He doesn't even need to speak to show that he has great personality. He's so animated.
Yeah.
But if there was something out there, or in the future we could get it, that explains why he is the way that he is, we know for a fact that these 3 movies are in chronological order and it's following a storyline. So I feel like at some point the story's going to come to a head, and we'll get some revelations more about his character, or more about our main heroine. And that's what makes a good character, is that they're fleshed out. You know what I mean? I'm not going to remember the smile monster because it doesn't say a single word ever, besides when it's pretending to be a human, which I'm not going to count that.
I thought it did pretty good in the first movie when it was pretending to be the mom. I actually thought the monster came through a bit. Not the final form of it, obviously, when it tore the face off, but now that you got me thinking, though, maybe it wasn't it talking. Maybe that was just the fake mom talking. So I don't know. That's a good point. You brought that up. Again, you got me kind of thinking about it now.
The Thing, again, great movie, iconic movie.
Absolutely.
Cult classic. The Thing doesn't speak. However, when it does take over characters, but it's several different things that take over different characters. It's more of an alien. Well, to bring that point up, we have Aliens and Predators. They don't speak. But they're fairly
But
iconic.
those are iconic in like the action sense, not so much like okay. Alien 1's scary. Aliens is more of an action film, and then you got Predator, which is like have you seen the first Predator? Like,
of course I have.
But as an
Love
adult,
that movie.
you've as an adult sat down. Okay, so that is a testosterone fueled action film. The very opening with like you son of a yeah.
The iconic meme.
Well, at first I was like, what movie is this? Like I thought I put Predator in, because I saw it as a kid. And I only saw the second half, so the first half I was confused, because they're like, we're gonna go to the jungle and blow stuff up, and they're fighting village. I'm like, okay, it's like, where does the Predator show up? I can't believe that movie actually did well when it came out, because
the cool part about it is that it devolves into a Predator movie.
It just took a while to get going, so I'm surprised the audience back then was interested and paid attention until that part.
It might have been the trailers. It might have had kind of like Smile, where they spoil all the good parts, and then when you actually watch the movie, it's, where's the Predator? That's exactly why I came to watch this movie.
Maybe
a
so.
Possibility.
And back then Arnold was that he's an icon now, and that's carried. So, but okay. So going back, they're iconic. Like they started a whole bunch of stuff, and people still to this day try to get the Predator franchise off the ground. The Alien, like they reboots upon reboots, upon soft reboots, upon hard reboots. Like they have tried. So
again, that would go back to my first point of it. These donators or these funders, the people that make these movies possible, they're not willing to take the risk to write a new character or to flesh out a character. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's probably more safe for them to take a character that's already been established, and instead of making a better movie, they'll just give it a bigger budget, and hopefully people won't notice that it's a bad movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I can agree with you in the sense that like there's probably a lot of really cool franchises we never got to see because nobody funded it. Nobody, Hollywood
For
has...
example, here's a great example. Sure. This isn't horror, but Squid Game. The headmaster and his mask has become iconic. However, nobody wanted to fund that guy. Nobody wanted him to tell his story. He was trying to get them to fund it for like 10 years. Finally got the story out. Global sensation.
Netflix of all people.
Yeah. They didn't want to risk it. There was no point in telling that story. But once they finally took that hurdle and spent the millions of dollars that they spent making the show, it turned out to be an international hit. You know what I mean?
Same thing with if you think about The Big Bang Theory. Do you know the original pilot they shot for it? Yeah, totally different.
Completely
different. And the people, the higher ups that watched it said, we don't like it, but we'll give you a chance to remake redo it, do it again, come back to us.
Like number one show for many years. Yeah.
But so I'll meet you where it says, where you say there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get funded. But what about the stuff that did get funded and was wildly successful? So Smile got funded. Crazy smash hit both times. 3 weeks later, the theater yesterday was still packed.
Second point.
3 weeks after.
Small monster, no character.
Okay.
It could... That was just my opinion.
Yeah, sure. Well, to finish your first point, The first point was not enough exposure, maybe, but there are movies that do break through the exposure part, and they are wildly successful to where it's like the second one came out, and they're still watching it weeks after it came out. But so my question to your first point is the ones that do break through, they don't become iconic, and why is that? So now we're at your second point, which is doesn't have any personality. Okay.
If the Smile monster did want to become iconic, and we were talking about possibilities of a third film, if he's able to, I can see that he's getting stronger. I can see that he's getting bigger. We see this a lot in anime as well. For those of you who know the reference I'm about to give, I'm going to give Cell from Dragon Ball Z. Cell was just a little creature who wasn't able to speak, and he kept consuming more energy. And as he consumed more and more and more energy, he became a different being to the point where he could speak. He, could understand the language, and became a very, very iconic Dragon Ball character. I'm wondering if Smile 3 were to be confirmed, and if they want to go that kind of route. We see at the end of the second movie that he is about to claim the lives of tens of thousands of people. What if he became a more evolved being and suddenly had character? I think there's a possibility that he would become an iconic character if it got to that.
But you think to the extent of the big three that we mentioned earlier?
It could be a possibility, but I think my second point is the biggest point, is that the reason why characters aren't iconic today, like Leatherface, is that they don't have a story to them. And I also think back then there was a certain level of goofiness that I feel like people really did enjoy. Chucky, as a kid, I was horrified of him. You watch the movies now; those movies are goofy.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger, I was so scared of Freddy Krueger. I watch the movies now; he's goofy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Art the Clown, very terrifying the way that he kills his victims. Lots of character, or lots of personality.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? So while I'm watching these movies, it's also very funny to watch.
Yeah.
I know it is supposed to be a horror movie, but there is a certain comedic element to them. Now, I'll admit I haven't watched the Halloween movies nearly as much, or the Friday the 13th movies.
Right.
Could you speak to that? Do they have more of a comedic element anywhere in them?
I've seen the first 4. And I've seen parts of Jason X, so talk about the goofy. Well, that's the thing. So the first movie, I'm sure as you know, is Friday the 13th. I'm sure you know that Jason's not in it. It's his mom doing it. So no icon yet. And at the end of the first movie, Jason kind of shows up where the main girl got away, killed Jason's mom. She's on a raft and she gets picked up by people like, hey, we're here to rescue you. And she's sitting on the thing. She's like, oh, she's tired. Then Jason pops out the water. He's like, ah, and he grabs her. Then in the second movie, they're like, why don't we just make Jason the killer? So he came back. He's not wearing the mask yet. Did you know that? In the second movie, he's not wearing the hockey mask. He's wearing a potato sack.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the third movie. I can't remember. It was so long. I was 18 or 17. The third movie, I think, he kills a guy who was scaring people while wearing the mask, and he took it and put it on. And that was his iconic mask. So
Smile 3 could be the one that turns him into an iconic character.
That is fair. So, but I wouldn't say Jason, though. It was just a guy going around killing people. So why did he stand out? There was goofiness for sure. But why? It's like I'm trying to figure out what made Jason so special. Could it be the cheap costume?
I wonder if it could be, since I'm a marketing major, it could be something to do with branding. Mm-hmm. All good brands have like a good icon or a good logo.
Yeah.
Right. For example, I'm a huge fan of One Piece, and the iconic logo for One Piece is the Jolly Roger with the straw hat on it, and everyone knows that icon.
Yeah.
Right? Dragon Balls, everyone knows the icon of what a Dragon Ball looks like. Everyone knows what Freddy Krueger looks like. I think it might have to do with if your character is not memorable in some way, coming up with the thing, it's a giant creature, you know what I mean? it's not as iconic because you can't really brand it as anything.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really make a plushie with the thing on it, but you could make a plushie of, you know, Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger. I think it might be a branding issue is that their character design is not iconic enough for people to love.
For sure.
Art the Clown definitely has an iconic design now.
Absolutely. I think he did in 2017.
I think it could be
catch on.
Yeah, I think it could be a branding issue. If your icon isn't correct or your design is not of appeal. And since you brought up the Friday the 13th movies, that thought just popped up into my head. Is that they didn't have an icon yet.
Right.
So they weren't special yet. And that hockey mask just turned out to be the missing factor that they were looking for.
Yeah. I don't even think they knew they were looking for it. They were just like, what if he put it on? You know?
I think what made the Babadook more memorable than other characters is because, you know, you got the long trench coat with the top hat. The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
He's invisible with some glasses on.
I got an Invisible Man plushie toy with me right now.
Or like the Mummy or Frankenstein. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now they've got an iconic look.
Those are iconic, but that's a different level.
Yeah, that's a different level.
Yeah, because I guess those are also based on classic stories.
Yeah,
Frankenstein.
Those are more
Invisible
folklore.
Man, Dr. Jekyll. Yeah, absolutely. So those are a different kind of iconic. You know, the literal cereals made off of them. Like I haven't had a Freddy Krueger cereal, although I would, but if they had it. So okay,
each one has a crying face on it.
Yeah, let's talk about the iconic part then. You're talking about the mask and stuff. So let's break down what's Freddy's icon. The hat, the sweater.
The claws.
The claws. The claws are...
The scarred face.
The claws are probably the most memorable. But, yes, so the sweater, the hat, the scars, and the claws. He does have personality. Have you seen all the Freddy movies, right? Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
All the Nightmare films. They were goofy from the first one to the end.
The second one was not goofy.
You don't think so?
No. For some reason, they took a different route
You're
with
right.
this character.
I remember that. Sorry. You're right. The second one was pretty bad. It was so boring. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
The scene where Freddy popped out of the dude's chest was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so weird. It took a weird detour.
The second one, I think they just wiped that from their memory. You know, there's like that didn't happen.
Yeah, for sure.
They gave him new powers that he wasn't supposed to have.
Yeah.
You know.
So, he's got the jokes. He's got the creative kills. You can't go to sleep. He's gonna haunt your dreams. Okay, so now we're at Jason, the mask. That's it.
It's got to be the mask. Yeah.
The mask
and his machete.
And the machete, but the machete though I don't think makes him like it's cool. You know that you gotta put it in the movie. You gotta have when he's in Mortal Kombat X. He's gotta have the machete. But I don't know if that's what I call it.
Michael Myers, he's got the mask.
Well, I want to talk about the machete. Do you think machete adds that much to him to where it's like that's iconic? Because like when you have a machete, do you immediately think now I'm Jason? You know what I mean? When I have a machete, I've had a couple. I was at a friend's house. I think I'm in a jungle and I'm chopping down. You know, we're looking.
To be fair,
I'm Willy Wonka looking for new flavors. You know.
Yeah, it's. If I'm not mistaken, it's in all of the movie posters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
definitely,
you don't really see Jason walking around with anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you saw that he was holding a katana instead, you'd be like, "That didn't look right."
Right. When I had Freddy's claws for the short film, I was like, I'm Freddy. I didn't need the makeup. I didn't need the hat. Or
Leatherface and his chainsaw.
Yeah.
He's they have iconic weapons.
Yeah.
In Art's case, he's got his bag of goodies.
Yeah.
You know.
We don't know what he carries. There's something different in that bag every time.
Yeah. So
it could be liquid nitrogen, for God's sakes.
Michael Myers has his little kitchen knife.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the only thing he uses.
All the posters of the knife, not even his face. So that's fair. They have their iconic like you can't have Jason without the machete. You can't have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre without the chainsaw.
Can't have Pinhead without his pins.
Yeah, iconic. So, and then you get to Michael Myers. So the interesting thing, you probably know this about the mask, was they didn't have a mask initially. They took a Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek and they turned it inside out and they put it on and they're like, that's it, perfect. And that's what they went with. Yeah. And then iconic. So is it the cheapness? That was obviously cheap. I bet you they didn't spend any money on it. I bet you their friend brought a Captain Kirk mask and said, Oh my God, that's our Michael. You know.
Oh, we forgot about one, Ghostface.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's up there with the big three though, unless you think so.
I do think so. Yeah, everyone knows about that mask.
Whether you know what movie it's from or not.
Scream.
Yeah, but not you, but like somebody might also just think scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I think Ghostface is up there.
Okay.
And his movies are fairly good.
The actor's still alive, still voicing him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he's got personality.
Yeah, he does.
Though it's always a different person playing them, you know.
What about speaking to the sheer number of movies each character has? So Chucky has an infinite amount of films. So does Freddy. Although they stopped at like 7, and then they remade it, and then the remake didn't get any sequels. Jason, they've remade. He's got like 8 movies. 10, sorry. God, Jason X. My bad. 10.
Michael Myers got his movies back.
And he's still getting... They retcon trilogies upon trilogies. They'll finish a trilogy, retcon it, and then do another trilogy, you know? You got the original trilogy, you got Rob Zombie's trilogy, and then you had the trilogy after, which is what we're going through now.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll retcon each other. So could it be the volume of how many they're making per franchise?
Yeah, I think the examples that we gave, all of them have
Scream has still making them.
Disrespectful amount of trilogies or sequels.
Mm-hmm.
That could be it. But the only one that doesn't match that would be Friday the 13th. You know,
all the Jason movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 of them.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about it doesn't follow the formula because you don't have Jason in the first movie.
Yeah,
you do have him in the second movie, but it's not
sure.
iconic.
But even though he wasn't in the first one, he's in the other 9,
mm-hmm.
and he didn't have the mask, but he does for 8 of them.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I still say that's a lot. That's a lot of movies. 8.
Well, I would say that maybe he might not have gotten any more movies if they didn't go with the iconic.
Oh, for sure.
Mask
Absolutely.
look, you know
Absolutely.
What I mean? So that would be one of my point of a branding problem. You can't have longevity with something that's not memorable.
Mm-hmm.
The Chucky character, yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's iconic
because it's child's play. It was child's play, and then they just straight up started calling it Chucky.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a rebranding.
Sure.
Yeah.
Chucky, bride of Chucky, son of Chucky, seed of Chucky. I'm like, stop Chucky. No more Chucky. I'm tired of Chucky. You know.
That would have been fine if they just called it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which that's what they did at first, which was Child's Play 1, 2, 3, and then they just went Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay. So volume that has to play into it.
It could be, but I don't think you're going to be able to get volume without some type of iconic character.
Yeah.
I feel like Friday the 13th movies might have been cutting it close as far as budget. You know, like these movies aren't doing anything.
Because Pinhead has an ungodly amount of sequels, but he's not. He never broke. He's close. He's like a B tier, but he's not in the A like the 3 we mentioned. Mm-hmm. But he has a ton of movies. You know, they're still making them. So yeah, I don't know. It can't just be the volume, but I think that helps. But yeah, it's the iconic. I don't know. Did they just come out at a time that was early enough to where they were considered like this is setting the stage for everything that comes after? Could that be it?
But yeah,
that has to be
might
it.
Be,
that has to be. You know, first Nightmare came out I think in the 70s. I'm pretty sure Jason's probably not too far either. It's either the same time period or a little bit after. Mm-hmm. They had to have just come out so early that everyone.
I mean, there were some flops in that era too, like the Leprechaun. They tried.
I think the Leprechaun came way later.
Oh,
that's like an 80s movie.
Troll, maybe.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about Troll and Troll 2.
Leprechaun
Best movie of all time.
Came out in 93.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, way after. They look like a cheap 70s flick, but no. They came out 2 years before I was born.
Well, they got the alien clowns. There was that thing. When was that?
I hate you.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's like there were some flops back then, you know.
That is
But
1988.
you know, to add to your point, yeah,
88.
it's true. There really are no iconic villains out there today.
Right. Because, like I said, Smile's really freaking good. And it stands out. And it's got the exposure. But no one's going to remember in 10 years. Our kids aren't going to be like, I'm going to pop in the classic Smile 2022. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that it doesn't deserve high praise.
I mean, I might do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like if my
All
kids start to enjoy horror, you know, I'd be like, I got a movie for you.
My sister's 7. I think she was 5 when I showed her. I was trying to plant the seeds early. This might be bad. But I
think it is.
I put in American Werewolf in London. I pulled up on YouTube the scene where he turns to a werewolf. And I said, "Look, Abby, he's turning to a doggy." You know, I was trying to get the ball rolling, and she didn't freak out. She just thought he was turning to a puppy. And it worked.
Oh boy, you're gonna start a war in the comments about parenting or something.
I know. Yeah, I wouldn't do that today. I don't think.
Talking about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
How much character growth could you have had?
I don't know. I've had a few breakups since then, and I got married. No, marriage doesn't, necessarily
marriage does
mean.
change you.
I would say it doesn't necessarily mean you build character, but it can if you let it. Because by golly, I'm challenged a lot to grow. I'll put it that way. So anyway, okay. I guess that I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have any like true explanation.
Yeah,
you know. I think I gave my best contentions
right.
as to why.
You know
what I mean?
I think those are good points. Those aren't stuff I was thinking about. So I'm kind of thinking like, was it just the time period? Like they just did it so early that it was revolutionary to where a lot of people stuck. Because Smile, the creature, it does borrow a lot of tropes. The what's real, what's not. Like Freddy did that a lot. It has a gimmick. You know what the creature looks like you know what Freddy looks like.
It doesn't have an iconic weapon.
But that smile.
It could.
The smile is the closest thing they're going to come to iconic. Is it iconic? Probably not. But that's the closest thing they're going to get. That's the closest thing to Jason picking up a guy's hockey mask and putting it on. Yeah. And they had it right out the gate. Smiles was definitely what established it, made a name for it, like right out the gate. Like this is a scary movie. They're all smiling at each other. So I don't know.
I wonder if a gimmick could be classified. You know what I mean? Like Freddy's gimmick would be, your dreams. Or, nah, I might take that point back because I can't think of any other gimmicks. But or Leatherface tearing off people. He doesn't have the same mask. Taking it off of different people.
A dude chasing you with a chainsaw, though, that's pretty metal. You can't forget that. There's a reason they do that at every haunted house where they're not wearing the mask, but they're dressed like a pig farmer and they got the chainsaw. Yeah. So I don't know, but I don't know. That's why I asked the audience, like, hey, if you got an idea, throw it in the comments. If our discussion you don't think was like, oh no, that's not it, like, please, like, I want to know. Like, that's a genuine question. I think I want Art the Clown to break that barrier. I hope he does. He does in my brain. In my brain, he's the coolest out the bunch. But I don't know. I didn't know
than Freddy Krueger, or
I want him to be on the same level.
Yeah, you want to be on the same.
Yeah,
same level.
I don't know. Like if he would join the A tier people, I'd be happy.
I think that's why it's shot stylistically. It's got this film grain all over it to make it feel like it's an old movie. Yeah. Even though it's still being made today, but it still looks dated as far as like the camera quality.
It looks
goes.
Like a student film. For the first two, even though they're good, they do look like student films.
And that they had a budget to them.
Then maybe the third one,
they understood that there's a level of nostalgia to that film grain. Yeah. And maybe that's why it's starting to establish.
Yeah. Student film, or maybe it's like an old grindhouse looking type film, like Planet Terror, or Machete. I don't know, Machete. I don't know, but I think it. I want it to punch through. I want it to be in the A tier, iconic, like wow. But I don't know. His personality really just puts him over the edge for me, to where it's like he needs to be at the top. With he's got more personality than Jason. I'm sorry, like he does. So. we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, Jason. I mean, Jason. I guess personality could be is. Well, no, that's Michael.
Yeah,
Michael does
right.
his head tilts.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know what Jason
Like a cat.
has. Maybe
or my wife's dog.
maybe it's his mom. Kill him.
Yeah.
You know?
Kill them, mommy. I'm like, ugh. But
funny.
all right, I guess we can change gears now to the rant I want to do. Okay, there are games that nowadays are getting a remake or a remaster.
Oh.
But the problem is they are horrendously broken upon release. All of them, consistently, all of them.
I will make a case for Resident Evil, and that was not the case for them.
Okay.
But I do know that you're referring to Until Dawn. Is that correct?
There's Until Dawn, but there's the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see those?
Mm-mm.
Broken. When in San Andreas, I can't believe you didn't hear about it. So okay, day one.
Well, I've never been into the Grand Theft Auto scene.
Oh,
I only
so
played
good.
San Andreas, like on the PS2 when I was 7.
Grand Theft Auto, they tried to plug the original games through an AI system that was just meant to automatically upgrade everything. Okay, so for instance, the game looked better. It was upscaled. The graphics were better. Everything looked a little bit more modernized. But AI didn't catch everything. So there was a lot of typos. A lot of the voice acting didn't sync up. When it rained, you couldn't see because the rain was so strong. It blocked the screen. You could not see where you were going. Cars would, as soon as they got out of a certain range, it would despawn. And then as you're driving, a car would spawn right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
The other parts that AI missed was like if you go to a hot dog stand in Vice City, it would be like put this meat in your mouth. Like that's the name of what that was their slogan. But then through the AI, when the definitive edition came out, it said put this like heat in your mouth because it didn't register to fix it. You know how AI is bad with letters. So it tried to fit like meat. That doesn't make sense. So the computer's like, put this heat in your mouth. I'm like, what? But they didn't proof check it. So the game came out, not to mention that it broke the servers. The servers weren't ready for the volume of people buying it. Mm-hmm. So when I tried to buy it day one, I couldn't even pull up Rockstar Launcher because it was broken and they took it down. And then I looked online. The game was mercilessly broken. The bugs, the glitches, it's like they didn't even try, you know?
I think there's a bigger problem here of for some reason I don't get what this is, but the people in charge of these big companies, they are so focused on get it out.
Yeah.
We have a deadline.
Yeah.
We need to get out now. I truly do not care how long it takes. If you have a good, complete game with minimal bugs, with great story, like I don't understand this need that it needs to get out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
oh yeah,
a lot of the employees are treated horribly. You know what I mean.
I would wait an extra year for the definitive edition if they would fix it.
And they're not optimized either. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Absolutely not.
These games coming out for close to 200 gigabytes, and I'm like, dude. So you're telling me that I can only have 2 games on my already $700 game station? You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to do with this game? Like, for example, the Gollum game. Gollum was one of the worst games of all time. Like, it was horrible.
2020 was that 3 or 2? That was a
I think it was 2023.
That was a sad time for gaming.
Yeah, it was so bad.
So many flops that year.
I think Moist Critical talks about it, but I forget how many gigs it was, but it was something outrageous for how trash that game was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where is all this data going to? You know what
China.
I mean? Right.
That's how much data would steal from you. The actual game is 1 gig.
Right. Like, that game could probably run perfectly on an app on my phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For, I don't know, a gig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If even that, you know what I mean? But for some reason they're calling for this huge ask. You know what I mean?
Well, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy that came out did so bad they canceled the Grand Theft Auto 4 remake. They were going to remake Red Dead Redemption 1. It canceled because like it was so bad. They're still fixing it to this day.
It's not like it needs to be canceled. I think what they saw is just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's doing so bad. That must mean that nobody wants it. No,
Right.
that's not what I said.
Oh, I
we
agree.
do want it.
Absolutely.
I would gladly play it again, like
With better graphics.
Like for example, Skyrim. If Skyrim came out and it had the graphics of God of War Ragnarok, I'd be all over that game. You know what I mean?
Speaking of Skyrim, I've been playing that.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you play it?
But no, I never did play it, and it's definitely one of those things that have been on my list. I just never got into it.
Just throw the list out, play that. Get the anniversary edition. My God.
Right now, I'm trying to play modded Mass Effect. Love Mass Effect.
What kind of mods are you adding, by the way? Side note. We'll get back to the discussion.
There's
full Liara romance scene.
Yeah, full Liara.
Extended edition. Press X, press X, press X.
It's actually really funny. No, there's like a bunch of different new armors that you can wear, different weapons that are way better than the weapons that you can get in the vanilla game. Different types of like mods that you can put on your weapons. There's whole levels that you can add to it. I just did Novaria, where I go through the Rachni, and where you go into the hot labs and you have to talk to Antov Yaroslev or something like that to get the code for the neutron purge. They added an entire level. It is completely different. It was like a full stage. You know what I mean? Like it feels like a game that could have been there.
Yeah.
Or they made the entire level of Novaria more horror themed. So there's
cool.
more bodies everywhere. There's blood splatters all over the walls to make it look like, you know, they actually, like in the original game, you know, it's just clean hallways everywhere and just the Rachni are there. But
that's probably a dumb question, but did they add more dialogue and stuff? They'd have to get the actors of these AI.
Yes.
Yeah, so they did add.
One of the biggest mods that I can't wait for it to come up is save both Caden and Ashley on Vermeer. And I was like, what is that going to do to the game? You know what I mean? And so I can't wait for, you know, whatever that brings up. And apparently they used like lost dialogue that were like in the files. Like they have it played by the original voice actors. They just cut it completely.
Yeah.
And
so they can make it more of a choice.
So there's just more levels. There's more things to do.
That's the stuff I care about. I don't care about the weapons and stuff. I like more story. Which is what the Anniversary Edition does with Skyrim. There's more levels,
right.
There's more houses to buy, there's more
There
side quests.
weren't many like great things that you can do with the first game.
Yeah.
But they did like an overhaul of like the Citadel. There's more characters everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Moreland's famous shop, even though there's like nothing on his desk.
Right.
Well, this time they put like banners on the side and there's guns laid all over the place. And he was like, we got the best supplies here. And I was like, you sure do. I'm looking at him. I was like, stuff like that that makes everything more immersive.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the Mass Effect games then. The Legendary Edition was good. That was a remaster that was good. But let's take another game example. The Battlefronts. They remastered 1 and 2.
Trash.
And they were broken. I'm like, why? How hard is it to port the game to PS5? Not remaster it.
I've got
just
full
port
support.
it.
Yeah, I got full support of modders. Like modders themselves can make the game completely amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm also doing like a graphics mod. I can change the face to something completely different than what Mass Effect is typically able to. Like Mass Effect has these iconic uncanny faces that if you saw the face, you'd be like, oh, that's from Mass Effect. You know what I mean? But I installed mods where you can change different features of the face to where it looks like your main character is more human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Shepherd that I've created looks completely different than what you would get in a standard game. So that, there's just so much more customization. The world has so much more life. And I haven't even gotten to the second and third game. There are so many more mods that I need to get for that one. But also quality of life things, stuff that was horrible in the first one. Like, for example, any mini games. I got a mod that got rid of all of the mini games.
Yeah.
Or the Mako, they tried to improve it by putting thrusters on the back so you can speed up a little bit. I got a mod that gives me infinite thrusters because, there's quite literally nothing to the story.
Yeah.
Just riding on those planets, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So just get through it.
Infinite sprint.
Yeah.
that
That's
changed the
helpful.
game completely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I could get it done in half the
I
time.
am zooming through everything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, it adds nothing to the story.
Sure.
To have to walk through the entire Citadel.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's just like quality of life improvements that just make the gameplay so much better. You
Yeah.
know, so
That's
I'm
cool.
really interested. I got into mods recently, and
That's cool.
You know,
Yeah.
it makes just games better for me. So I'm wondering why these modders are able to do this for free,
Yeah.
essentially, and they ask for a donation, but they don't force a donation
Sure.
upon you.
They get
know
it
what I mean?
done.
Yeah, and
And-
they get it
Yeah.
done.
And
they truly do.
And they're happy. And
Mhm.
we're happy.
Yeah.
In some cases,
Now, to be fair, I have run into some bugs.
sure.
Um,
Sure. But I'm
But
sure they fix them later.
it's not.
if
It's
they
not
can.
from the official.
Yeah.
Like the official company that's making
But
this.
that's
you know what
not
I mean?
even a valid defense because the official releases are bad. You
I
know?
would say that these mods, even
Yeah.
though I have seen bugs, wow, they
Yeah.
are significantly better than the bugs that you would run into in
if
any
they
of these
released a full,
remakes.
if they did a full remake of it.
Mhm.
Now for Mass Effect, it worked out, but in some cases, these companies will make the modders take it down and delete their data, and they'll lose in court, and they'll send out a cease and desist. The Knights of the Old Republic was getting a full remake from modders,
Mhm.
and they were adding planets. They showed
I love Knights of the Old Republic.
screenshots, and they showed videos where you got to see the updated character models, and the camera circled around them, and it looked great. And Disney sent them cease and desist to get rid of it because one, Disney is full of corrupt people and they're stupid, but two, they were working on their own remake.
Mhm.
Well, that remake is hit so many problems, and now it's gone to so many different developers. We would have gotten a full remake from these people that actually gave a crap. But Disney fumbled it and said, no, get rid of that. We got our own coming out. And then it's never coming out. And it's like, why? So, yeah, Battlefront, Grand Theft Auto, and then now recently the Until Dawn remake, which you brought up. But yes, that was on the list for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. You played Until Dawn, right? Or watched it at least on YouTube?
Yep.
Okay. Did you actually play it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I might have, but I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I've played it countless times. Every time I've had a girl over before my wife.
You
Um,
got to check this game.
You
out,
have to,
you know.
like here, and the way you sweeten the deal is you say, no, you make the choices. I'll play the game. So they're sitting there like chewing their nails, and they're eating their hand, trying to get scared, and but they make a decision, and I play it, right? So it's a great game if you're trying to get laid, but they remade Until Dawn, which is the classic original, like 10 years ago. First thing, I don't know why they remade it because it already looked dang good for 2014 graphics.
I'll admit that it looked way better in the remake, or at least the trailer that they put out for it. I was like,
Yeah,
wow, that
sure.
looks amazing.
Right. It looked better, but I don't know if it needed like the remake treatment.
Mhm.
Okay. But that's not all. They didn't just update the graphics.
They made
Well, let's talk about the
story
bugs.
changes,
Yes.
right?
Yes. But let's talk about the bugs though. Lip syncing issues. Character models looking weird. Glitches.
clipping through the floor.
Stuff like that. So now we'll get to the other stuff. They took out the iconic "Oh Death" song from the beginning, after the opening scene where the girls die, and then you get to "Oh Death," cut that out. I don't know what song they put in, but it was bad, and it was like, why? But I was like, you know what? Okay, I don't know. That's a big one. I wasn't happy because most of the time I can overlook these changes.
Yeah.
It's hard to make me mad about stuff like that because I was like, you know what? I don't know why. I'm very forgiving. I'm very good at making peace. Like they took out a song. Maybe it was a licensing issue. That sucks. But then they did change a lot of the story parts too. So there's the part where have you heard of this part where Ashley opens the door for, I think his name's Chris, where he's running from the Wendigo, and he's like, "Open the door, Ashley." And depending on how you talk to her early in the game, she'll, "Oh shoot, Chris, let me help you open the door and save you." Or in the original, you're knocking on the door, "Let me in, Ashley," and she just looks through the window And if you were mean to her earlier, she just looks at you and walks away as you get torn apart. Okay. In the remake, if you were mean to her at the beginning, you're like, Ashley, open the door. She's like contemplating, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And then she freaks out and she takes too long thinking about it and doesn't open the door. Then you die. Well, that changes a whole. It sounds small, but that actually changes a lot about her character. In the original, if she's like looking at you and you could tell she made a decision, I'm just gonna let you die. That's completely different from where we changed it to where, oh, should I open the door? I'm such a shy girl. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. And then it killed. That changes everything. I'm sorry, that does. Stuff like that. I think they added an ending for Josh.
I did see that.
I didn't watch what the ending was, though.
I definitely didn't see any of it. I was waiting for you to play it, but honestly, like after a couple of weeks, I started to hear that it was awful.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get it. I was going to get it day one. I hadn't played it with Maddie yet. I didn't do my trick on her. I had to earn her the old-fashioned way. We played the Quarry instead. That got the job done. But
I like the Quarry.
Yeah, the Quarry's good. Even though it's kind of the same game as Until Dawn. But side note. We haven't played it yet because I was waiting on the remake, and then it came out, and all this stuff was like, oh, they took out Odeth. I was like, that's fine. Oh, well, there's a couple bugs. Of course it is. It's a remake. Of course it's got bugs.
Story changes.
Yeah.
Oh. What did you do?
No, I can't look past this.
I also saw what the new mask of the killer looks like.
There's a new mask?
Yeah, they completely redid. Like, it's still the same thing.
His eyes are shinier.
No.
No?
No, in the original, his eyes were shiny. And this one is just... Man, you'll have to pull up the side-by-side.
We have to pull it up. I saw this side-by-side.
Lydia and I both agree that we like the original design better. It's a complete rework of the mask.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Other than the eyes, it looks the same.
For the most part, but you can see that there were so many tweaks made to it.
Yeah, for sure.
That we prefer the original better.
They made it dirtier. It's not as shiny.
You can clearly see his eyes. The teeth are more buggy,
Well, I thought the eyes was a good addition.
I didn't like the new design, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it. I thought the eyes made it creepier. Like, you see his eyes, like, ooh. But, yeah, you're right. It is more different than I thought. Okay, but I did like the change. I don't like the story changes. I think it changes a lot. I'm glad they beefed up Josh's ending because I thought it was a little bit lackluster. I thought they could have done better, so I'm glad they did add something
I
to
haven't
that.
seen it, so
I haven't either.
Feel free to not spoil me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. But I'm glad they did add something. So I did think it was weak, and they could have buffed it up a bit, and they did. But is it laziness or rushed deadlines that are killing these remakes?
It couldn't be lazy because I know that they're working these guys to death.
Yeah.
But I think it has entirely to do with rush deadlines.
Yeah. I got one. I think there's one more game.
Biting off more than they can chew and not understanding gamers at all. You know what I mean? I don't understand why they're choosing they're choosing executives that are so out of touch with the gaming community. I feel like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like last time I was here, we were talking about the Ghost of Yotei and Assassin's Creed Japan.
Completely different.
Yeah, completely different conversation. But
same game ideas. But you got the company that's greedy and wants to appeal to everybody. They want to make their character a trans person of color who's in a wheelchair who appeals to them too. I don't know. But and then you got the other people that actually care about, hey, this was a really interesting period of history.
Yeah.
Let's capture a moment of that and put it in a game.
Yeah. It was a passion project.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Clear difference.
Maybe it'll turn out to be an awful game. But man, that trailer looks so good. Everyone was talking about that when it came out. Now it is a little disappointing that we didn't get to see what happened to Jin Sakai from the first game. However, you can tell that there was some passion into creating this new game, and they knew what people wanted. You know what I mean? Everyone for years was like, "Where's the next Ghost of Tsushima sequel?" You know what I mean? Because they finally came out with it, and everyone shut up.
When did the first one come out?
I was still in high school.
Yeah,
Like, it was a
a
while.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for them to come out with this, it's just they finally listened to the people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, and gave them what they wanted.
Mhm.
Or for example, bringing back God of War.
Yeah.
You know, nobody asked for a continuation of it, but you know, it was a well.
It's what we
Yeah,
needed.
people wanted more.
Yeah.
You know, from that story.
But there was, I
But-
mean, where do you go after Zeus?
Mhm.
And then they
It
were
was a
like,
complete-
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you. It
We'll
was
go.
a complete passion project.
Yeah.
It felt like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, and it resonated with people very well.
Mhm.
Everyone was just waiting for another game, and it came out. I didn't come across a single glitch in that game. You know what I mean?
I did.
It was just
In the second one, Ragnarok,
we're at.
the dragon. So you remember? I forget what plane of realm you are, what realm you're in, but there's one where we talked about it, where you turn like a corner into a tunnel and it opens up to another side of the map. You're like,
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how, but well, there's a dragon that you fight in that sequence, and the dragon glitched out,
And you
then
couldn't fight him.
I couldn't fight it. But then after 3 seconds of like, shoot, I'm gonna have to restart the game, Kratos said, "We did it." And then it just skipped the boss fight for me. It died. When it
That's
clipped
kinda
off the
funny.
world, it killed it. And then Kratos like, we won. I was like, oh, we did? Okay.
I never ran into that one.
And then another design, I would say
got
not.
people T-posing.
No, it was a good thing because that dragon, it dropped stuff, but since it clipped off the world, it didn't drop anything. But do you know where I was able to find the stuff that it dropped?
Oh, in the little chest.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was like,
nice,
yes.
nice.
I didn't
cool.
have to fight at all.
Maybe that's why they added that mechanic in there.
Yeah. So that was the only glitch I saw though. Nothing crazy. So.
Like I had completely I missed a chaos flame. You know what I mean? To upgrade my blades, and I opened up the chest, and then it was just like, oh, there's a chaos flame, and I was like, what? I didn't pick that up. I'm so sorry, game.
Yeah, that was nice of them.
Yeah,
It's easy to miss stuff.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know where we're going with it. I had to bring that
Well,
up.
I mean, it's an example of people that don't care about games and people that do. You know what I mean?
for sure.
For some reason, they're just rushing to get these new games out that people do want, but they don't understand that we're willing to wait, and we also care about optimized games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't understand why they need a huge amount of memory to get the latest Call of Duty out at like 200 gigabytes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a gamer. I've got limited space on my PlayStation. I'm not going to give up most of my games just so I can fit your one game in.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, for either will not work, or the story wasn't worth it, or it's only multiplayer and it's a bunch of like season passes. You know, get them now. You know, I don't need like microtransactions in a game that I've already spent like $70-$80 for, because they're upping the price of these games. That's another big thing. If your games are not going to be as good as they used to be, the glitches are going to be out the wazoo, and it's going to take up so much more storage. Why is it more expensive for me to buy it? You know what I mean? I don't understand. It's just a huge middle finger to
they did not
audience.
need to up the price $10.
Yeah.
They didn't need it. They made plenty of money off of the $60 aspect and the microtransactions. They made plenty of money off of that. The in-game stores in Mortal Kombat 1. Why did the game have to be another $70 if you're going to charge $5 per skin?
Yeah, GTA has this incredible audience. To this day, people are still spending money on that
Online.
game.
GTA Online.
Yeah, GTA Online. I know they've got the money.
But you know,
to
Grand
do
Theft
this.
Auto 6 if they would charge Grand Theft Auto 6 $100 per game, I'd still buy it. You know?
Yeah, honestly.
But and people would still buy it. And it's a shame. We're gonna get there eventually. They haven't caught on yet, but they will. You know, so.
Well, we've been saying it for like 10 years now.
I know.
Like,
but
when are they going to catch on?
They got to go slow. They can't just do it overnight. You know, they got to. With the next round of inflation, they got to say, oh, we got to do $80 per game now. You know, 75. You know, it's just $5. It's not that big of a difference. Whatever. You know, but they're gonna do it. Not anytime soon. Like you said, it did take them a while. It took like 15 years.
Yeah.
But remember, PS2 games used to be $40. If you remember that.
I was gonna say like the top games, state of the art, you know, $40. You know what I mean? But for it to be twice the price of that for a game that's lackluster,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
It's awful. It's a darn shame.
I would much prefer to play the original God of War games for $40.
Yeah.
You know, all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Definitely.
to get these games that are borderline unplayable, you know what I mean?
In some cases, they are unplayable. It's disgusting. So with that, though, we're out of time for today. So thank you again for filling in for Shaps. I appreciate you being available whenever we need you. So, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this week's discussion. We will see you next time when...
Don't forget to leave a comment of anything that we didn't say today. Smash that like button. Subscribe, of course. And not I, but we, as the Third Wheel Podcast, will see you in the next episode.
And thanks for 10,000 subs. See y'all next time.
We hit 10,000?
10,000.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. See you guys.
See y'all.